Happy fall time. Hello. This is a great group. It really is. Let me start by doing something that I usually do before I even introduce the students. How many of you have been here at UMBC at least 5 years? Raise your hands. How many of you have been here under 1 year? Give them a hand. Would you give all of them a hand? Welcome. Welcome, all of you. How many have been here at least 10 years? 15? 20? 25? If you've been here 25 or more, stand up. Keep standing, keep standing, keep standing, keep standing, keep standing, keep standing. So I've got good news and bad news. Which one do you want first? Well, the bad news is you're getting old. Get over it. It's okay. It's me. I can say these things now, right? But the good news is you look really good. Give him another hand, would you? So is there anybody who's been here 30 years? 30 years? Wow, Joe, go. Give him a big hand. Big hand, really big hand. And should I ask 35 years, anybody? Wow, 35 years, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute, what about 40 years? Anybody 40 years? Stand up, still 40 years, whoa, whoa. And so somebody would have had to have been here in 68, 45. It wouldn't be 40, nobody 45 years, right? So 40 would be there. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. We are excited that you're here today. This is a good time for UMBC for so many reasons. First of all, when you have your health, right? You're very fortunate, and the institution has its health. We care about each other. We're delighted to have 3 of our students here. We began doing this several years ago. I think there's something to be said about hearing from people who are just entering the university to see why they came and who they are. And we've got 3 great examples, and we're going to be hearing from an incoming freshman, and that's Evan, and he'll tell us about himself. He's had a sister who was here, Evan Leiter Mason. And then we're going to be hearing from Sophia Venero, who's coming in from Montgomery College. Evan is majoring in economics and political science, and Sophia is in interdisciplinary studies. And then finally, we've got a wonderful graduate student coming in to major in human-centered computing, Ade Akinsiku. Ade Akinsiku, not bad, huh? Nigerian, all right, all right. Ade, yeah. Give them all a hand, and we'll begin with Evan. Give them all a hand.
Hello, everybody. My name is Evan Leiter Mason. I am from Frederick, Maryland, and I am proud to be beginning my first year here at UMBC as a Sondheim Public Affairs scholar, planning to major in political science and economics. In high school, I had the distinct pleasure of participating in speech and debate through the Baltimore Catholic Forensics League. In my main event, called Extemporaneous Speaking, I had 30 minutes of prep time to construct a 7-minute speech on current topics ranging from rainfall in Virginia to tensions on the Korean border. So in order to keep my oratorical muscles flexed and procrastinate like a true college student, in the car this morning, I gave myself exactly 8.57 minutes to write this 2-minute speech for you. See, that's a proportion. Now you know I'm good at math. But seriously, as some of you may know, the Sondheim Public Affairs program is all about supporting students interested in careers devoted to public service. From an early age, I was taught about the importance of politics and civic engagement. When deciding where to go to college, I thought it important to consider not only the academics of an institution, but also its values. As a political science major searching for schools in the DC-Baltimore area, I had a lot of great options. But UMBC was the only place where I detected a real institutional commitment to service. The Sondheim Public Affairs program is unique in its promise to not only support its students through mentoring and networking, but also to instill in us the values of service through our freshman service learning projects. UMBC has acquired a reputation for being a great place to study science and technology, but I believe the Sondheim program makes UMBC an exceptional and affordable place to study public policy as well. Because of the many challenges facing our nation today, from partisan gridlock to rising income inequality, I believe the study of public policy to be just as vital to our prosperity as the study of science and technology. And the strong presence of both fields here at UMBC serves only to enhance what the university has to offer to me and other students like me. With UMBC's help, with the support of my peers and mentors in the Sondheim program, and with the experience I gained through club, internship, and service activities, I hope to be a part of the solution to these problems by finding and advancing a career path that best utilizes my skills and passions to serve my community. Thank you.
Good afternoon, President Friedman, faculty, professors, and staff. It is my honor to be standing here at this podium today. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak at the fall opening ceremony. My name is Sofia Veneto Shimabukuro, and I am a transfer student from Montgomery College. I graduated with honors this past May with an Associates of Arts as a Phi Theta Kappa member and vice president, and as one of the Montgomery Scholars. Let me first begin by taking you back 3 years ago when I was a rising senior at James Turner Blake High School. I knew that I had to attend a 2-year community college because my parents cannot afford a 4-year institution. But I also wanted to attend a college where I will feel challenged. For this reason, I applied to the Montgomery Scholars Program at Montgomery College. This rigorous interdisciplinary 2-year program allowed me to hone my study skills and habits. The second reason why I decided to attend a community college was so that I would get to learn in small classes and having one-on-one interaction with the professors. The advantage that I had in attending a 2-year community college was that I was able to take all the general education courses in addition to the basic science courses in a small classroom setting. At Montgomery College, I developed a passion for volunteering. I realized that I wanted to be involved with an organization that helps disabled children and young adults. Throughout my first few Sundays at Keene, I became acquainted with a boy named Bob, and Keene is for the organization that I volunteered. He suffered from short-term memory loss and was confined to a wheelchair. One of his favorite activities was to take a trip around the school and have someone read room numbers for him. Bob would carry himself with such grace and joy that it was impossible not to feel the positive energy. He would whisper kind words to show his appreciation to his volunteers, such as "I love you." I felt inspired by his positive attitude and realized that there's nothing in the entire world that cannot be solved with a positive attitude. At this point, you might be asking why I chose to transfer to UMBC. This is the institution where my value for working closely with the professors will be achieved, and I knew that I will benefit from the rigorous science courses taught by great professors. Once I got accepted to UMBC, I was awarded the Presidential Scholarship Award, which will cover my first 2 years at UMBC. I am very honored and humbled by this award, and I will make the most out of it as I learn here at UMBC. I am planning to graduate from UMBC in May of 2015 with a major in interdisciplinary studies and a minor in biological sciences. I have already met multiple times with my interdisciplinary studies advisor to define the specifics of my major. At UMBC, I'll be taking classes that will prepare me to qualify for a physician assistant program. I plan to give back to UMBC, and one of the ways in which I will achieve this is by volunteering at the Schreiber Center. I look forward to this new chapter in my life, the first academic year at a 4-year institution. Like many of you guys, I have mixed feelings about the first day. I am excited, happy, nervous, all at the same time. But what I know for certain is that I'm ready to learn. I would like to conclude this speech by thanking UMBC for awarding me the Presidential Scholarship, President Friedman, professors and faculty, my friends, and of course my family. Without my mom and dad, I will not be standing on this stage. Thank you.
How's everyone doing today? All right. Once again, my name is Adeboyega Akishuku, and everyone usually calls me Adeboyega. No one calls me Ade, just so you guys know that. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I'm a recent graduate of Howard University, where I majored in computer engineering, and I'm an incoming graduate student in the human-centered computing program. And what a lot of people don't know about me, I was actually thinking about raising my hand when President Hrabowski asked who all have been here for over 10 years, because UMBC has been part of my life for nearly 13 years. And I was actually a 10-year-old kid wobbling up the steps of Susquehanna. I actually pride myself on successfully moving in and out 3 women into the Summer Bridge program. So 2 siblings and a cousin. I was a 10-year-old kid with a box full of books in my left hand and 4 bags full of accessories in my right hand. And mind you, it was only clothing accessories. I'm not even talking about the school supplies and the hair accessories as well. But for different reasons, I've attended workshops hosted by the National Society of Black Engineers here. I've hosted by Promise as well. And for 13 years, 3 things always stuck out to me about UMBC and still stick out to me about UMBC: passion, dedication, and commitment. And specifically, I'm talking about the type of passion that an assistant professor has for her work, her lab, and her research. That she took a student, a prospect at that time, myself, and invited me up to New York with her lab to a STEM-based event, just to meet her PhD students, to know about the research and to know about the community at UMBC. I was still a senior at this time. And even more specifically, the type of dedication that an associate director of housing services has that allowed him to stand with full conviction at informational session. And the first thing that he said out of his mouth was that students are our priority and they come first. And then the everlasting commitment that an associate vice provost has, and associate vice provost in graduate development and postdoctoral affairs, that she has for everything that she does in her life, that she took this computer engineer from her alma mater and helped support him for nearly a year. And now I'm able to come and speak to you all for these 2 minutes, or 2 minutes and 33 seconds. But so when I started looking at what I hope to accomplish at UMBC, I hope that when a young man or a young woman looks at me from Capitol Heights or Cheltenham, Maryland, that through my master's research in embedded systems, or through my PhD dissertation, or even through my program with promoting STEM education, that they see passion, dedication, and commitment as well. And everything that UMBC has to offer and everything that UMBC stands for. So if I can accomplish that, I'll be excited. Once again, I thank you all for allowing me to have this avenue, because we are truly part, and now I say we, because I got my acceptance letter, I registered, I've paid my fees, and now I'm we. So, thank you. But we're truly a team, and we are part of a family that I'm proud to be a part of, and a family that I'm blessed to be a part of as well. I look forward to meeting you all. I wish you all a wonderful new academic school year. Thank you once again. God bless.
They were really impressive. Actually, first of all, there are 2 sets of parents here. Evan's parents here and Sophia's parents. You all stand for me, please, would you? The Masons and the Veneros. Very nice. I know you. Very nice. Very, very nice. Addie, you're already a part of the family. Give them all a hand again for being really impressive. Very impressive. Very, very impressive. And now we're going to hear from our provost. I believe this is the beginning of his 3rd year. Am I right? And he's doing superbly. Give him a big round of applause. Philip Krause.
That's very kind, Freeman. Thank you so much. Well, let me just comment. Last year, you might remember if you were here, and maybe I hope you don't, but I started by telling a joke. And you might remember that Freeman called out, "Don't quit your day job." And I'd like to tell you, Freeman, I've taken your advice. I'd really like to start with just a personal note, which is that I want to thank each and every one of you for everything you have done and continue to do to support our students and our community. You do this through hard work, innovative spirit, and a demonstrated commitment to the integrity of our common purpose. To create and recreate the exceptional scholarly community we call our UMBC, putting into practice the ideals expressed in our shared values. On a personal note, I cannot tell you how proud, honoured and privileged I feel to find myself in this position, but more than anything, I'm humbled by your fellowship and the opportunity to work as one individual to help us all reach our common goal of advancing excellence in education, scholarship and service to the benefit of all members of society. Today we not only celebrate the accomplishments of our community and the beginning of a new academic year, but this is also a special time in the life of our university. It's a time where we take stock, reflect, rededicate ourselves, and begin the important work of imagining the future. During the past year, we have engaged in conversations about the guiding principles and process that will lead to the development of the next strategic plan that will follow on from the strategic framework for 2016, which was developed under the leadership of Provost Emeritus Art Johnson. We called this activity, the activity we conducted over the last year, Planning to Plan, and I'm pleased to say that we finished that phase of our planning. And what now lies ahead is the task of planning itself. The planning process that we've designed together will offer many pathways for involvement and many channels of communication about the process as a result of all of your input this year. It's important to understand that this plan will not be the product of a small group locked away in a room who produced the plan a year later. Each of you will have many opportunities over the next 2 years to contribute to the plan and to guide it. The shared guiding principles for planning developed with the campus community emphasise inclusion, communication, analysis, open dialogue, clarity about decision-making, setting priorities, alignment with state and University of System Maryland goals, and alignment with resources and budget. In keeping with our guiding principles, the design of the planning process places the campus community at the centre of our strategy conversations. Faculty, staff and students and alumni will be encouraged to participate as members of strategy groups and advisory groups. Planning leadership groups, including the Council of Deans and Vice Presidents and the Strategic Planning Steering Committee, co-chaired by myself and Faculty Senate President Kathleen Carroll. We will serve as agents of responsibility charged with carrying out and coordinating planning activities in alignment with the guiding principles I just mentioned. Members of both groups will work closely throughout the fall semester with Senates and other advisory groups to define the focus areas for the planning process, and will continue to engage the campus in the work as it evolves. The title we have chosen for our plan is Our UMBC, a strategic plan for advancing excellence. And I hope that that reflects your sense of UMBC and our future together. It reflects our collective drive for excellence in all of our work together. And it also emphasises our shared sense of belonging and our ownership of UMBC as it is today and as it will be. The plan will be complete in the fall of 2015 and will inform our Middle States 10-year self-study, our next campus facilities master plan, and the case for our next capital campaign. I believe that this is a time of incredible opportunity for all of us and for our UMBC. This opportunity is founded on the hard work and commitment of everyone here today and those who could not be with us at this moment. We are now standing on a threshold on which we can build and extend the vision of our university. And I very much look forward to working with you. Thank you. And now it is my great honor to invite our president, Dr. Freeman Hrabowski, to deliver the State of the University address. Freeman.
Thank you. Thank you. Philip, I still was looking forward to your telling a joke, so I could have suggested you keep your day job again. But I say every year, and I really do mean it, if you get up to speak after Philip, you can't help but think, as I always say, if I had that British accent, I could raise so much more money, because we Americans are indubitably impressed by that accent somehow. Indubitably somehow. Let me take a minute and ask you for a moment of silence. One of our own, Greta Young in Human Resources, died recently, and her funeral is tomorrow. She had been here 15 years and had a very brief bout with cancer and had hoped to come back. And it did not work out. And yet she did so much to enlighten and to uplift us. Let's take a moment of silence for Greta Young. Thank you very much. I had begun by saying that we are a healthy community, that we appreciate the need to come together and to think about what it means to be this special place. We are, in fact, moving towards this 50th anniversary. And as Philip said, we are in the middle of this planning process. People were teasing him last year about planning to plan and all of that. But it did give people a chance to begin to think about, well, who do we want to be? And the best news about that is very clearly that we have had a lot of success. All of you have heard about the Chronicle of Higher Education saying again that we're the only institution, four-year institution in this state that is on that dean's list, that honors list of America's great colleges to work for. Give yourselves a hand for believing in yourselves, for believing in yourselves. You know, if you think about it, if an institution says in surveys, yeah, we like working here, then when other people look at the university and they look at that list, they say, well, it's a nice place to work. But if a place is consisting of people who are saying it's not a great place to work, why would anybody good want to come there? You get my point? So believing in ourselves helps us to become better and better. Similarly, it is wonderful that U.S. News and World Report for 4 years in a row has called us the #1 up-and-coming university based on academic innovation. And it's very interesting. I would think at this point they'd put us in a category that says, been there, done that, we've arrived, all right? We'll see what they say this year. But also, it is significant that in Philip's home country, England, there's something called the Times Higher Education Supplement, and we were listed as top 100 institutions in the world under age 50. Big deal. Number 60, in fact. Give us a hand for that. It's really... And the statistic that I think speaks volumes about our values is this fact, that in our state, fewer than 20% of the faculty and staff at universities, public and private, give to the Maryland Charities Campaign. Fewer than 20%. The only institution people have tended to think about as being very giving has been, quite frankly, downtown, University of Maryland, Baltimore, because they are in the midst, quite frankly, of seeing the poverty when people come to the hospitals and they get a sense of just how bad it is. But we sit out here in this pastoral setting that is a very, very, very impressive place, if you think about it, here with 500 acres. And so people would think we wouldn't be thinking about people who have less than we have. And yet we, literally for the 6th consecutive year, we have won the Governor's Cup for outstanding performance with a 70% participation rate. Give us a hand for that, would you please? And so while they're talking about the national recognition of the things we're doing ourselves, we are now at this point, as my colleague Philip said, of moving to think about the challenge of defining the next level of development. And that really does mean how do we focus on attracting additional resources, federal, state, and private, for resources to help us with research and education and in supporting our students. And so I begin by talking about leadership. As a growing research university, UMBC continues to attract very, very impressive leaders. I'm going to ask both Carl Steiner, Vice President for Research, just coming in, and Scott Casper, Dean of the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, to please stand. Are you here, Carl and Scott? Give them a hand. I want you to know them. Very, very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Scott's coming from Reno, University of Nevada, Reno, and Carl is coming from the University of Delaware. We're delighted they're here. Tim Hall is away because his wife's grandmother just died and she raised them. And so keep them in your thoughts and prayers. But Tim is coming from the University of Missouri, Kansas City. We're delighted that all of them are here. And then a new appointment of Tim Noe, who's Professor of Visual Arts, who has just become the head of the Center for Innovation, Research, and Creativity. And as you know, was the former president of the Faculty Senate. We're very excited about those appointments and also about my colleague now and yours, Peter. I want Peter to stand, and I also want Elise to stand. Peter is coming from the National Academy of Sciences and is the senior advisor to the president, and Elise is chief of staff. I want you to know the folks in the president's office. Give them both a hand, wherever Elise is, okay? And Julia Ross has been appointed special assistant to the provost. We know Julia as chair of chemical and biochemical engineering. She is going to be special assistant to the president, specifically to the provost, specifically for interinstitutional research initiatives. And she's also just gotten the ACE fellowship to work with the president of UMB. Jay Perlman was here, and the provost for a part of our retreat. You're going to be hearing more and more about this growing connection between UMB and UMBC. I also want you to think about the important role that shared governance has played during this difficult 5-year period. And what is amazing is I think it's been because we have struggled together and brainstormed together that we've made as much progress, even in the difficult times. And so I want to first thank the heads of senates from this past year. And if you're here, please stand. Tim Noe, president of the Faculty Senate, Carrie Salter, who was president of the Professional Staff Senate, and Dorothy Kaplan, president of the Non-Exempt Staff Senate. Give them a hand, would you, please? And we're delighted to welcome and to commend already the new heads. And if you're here, please stand. Kathleen Carroll, president of the Faculty Senate, and Layla Shashani, the president of the Professional Staff Senate, and Dorothy Kaplan, president of the Non-Exempt Staff Senate. Give them a hand also. And then we are now with a special adjunct faculty advisory committee representing all of the colleges, and the committee is co-chaired by Mark Mogavero and Nicole Shiflett. If you're here, please stand. Give them a hand. And there's a grad assistant advisory committee that has members from the 3 colleges, and Dan Miller, a doctoral student in physics, chairs that committee. Dan, if you're here anywhere, tell him we gave him a round of applause anyway, okay? And finally, we know that we really do value students and leaders in general, and we are very proud of the heads of both our groups. The SGA president, Jeffrey Key. Jeffrey, are you here? And the Grad Student Association president, Doa, who did it last year also, and who's excellent, Doa Rashid. Would you two please stand if you're here? Doa here. And so I want to thank the members of the President and Provost Councils, department chairs, and program directors, and all of the people who have served in leadership, which really means all of you. One of the things I like about our notion of leadership is that it is broad and it is deep, and we want to continue to build on that. And now I go to resources as we continue to think about this theme of being a growing research university. This is a better time than we've had before, and I think we all would agree. Last January, eligible faculty and staff received a 2% cost of living adjustment. It was the first one in 5 years. Effective January 1st, 2014, we'll get the 3% COLA for faculty and staff, and for the first time since 2009, there will be a merit increase for qualified employees beginning in April of 2014, and both of these increases will become part of everyone's base salary. We have completed the development of the fiscal 14 budget. Remember, fiscal 14 means starting July 1, 13 through June 30th of next year. And so we're in fiscal 14 right now. That budget totals $390 million. And it includes money from state, federal, and other sources. And our state operating budget is $217 million. So keep that thought, that the state operating budget is about $217 million, which represents about $13 million more than we had last year. And without getting to a lot of numbers, there are two main sources for that money. One of the sources would be the enrollment and the modest increases in tuition, which would give us another $5 million. And the other would be the $8 million that we get from new state funds. Now, the significance of that is that almost all institutions in our state last year were down in enrollment. We were, I believe, with the exception of one other, the only institution where the enrollment continued to go up, which has everything to do with the fact that we got great people like these young students wanting to be here, and the numbers continue to grow even as the quality gets better and better. And so you might ask the question, how will we spend that $13 million? We're going to have a raffle after this, and you can jump for me. Just kidding, all right? But the funds are going to go for two main reasons. One is mandatory costs, and just to give you a feel for that, the mandatory costs will include the fringe benefits. That's everything from health insurance, for retirement that we place in, to the COLA and the merit increases. Well, the mandatory costs are $8.5 million of that $13 million. And then we've got about $2.5 million for academic programs, including about half of that for faculty positions, another part for academic support staff, and then another part for enrollment growth, and then some money for the library. And finally, we have some money, about $1.5 million, that goes for student support, including quite a bit for financial aid to help more people to make it. I was on the phone last night with people at the White House talking about the president's speech today, and it is very interesting that everybody wants to know more about UMBC and our approach to these things. And we have been increasing the amount of financial aid, especially for people from low-income families, every year for first-generation college students. And finally, we have about $500,000 being spent on research infrastructure and commercialization. So remember, $13 million more dollars, about $5 coming from enrollment and slight increase in tuition, and the other part coming as a result of the new state funds. Now, what does that mean? It means accountability, accountability, accountability. Everybody wants to know, are you good stewards of those funds? And that has to do with auditing, being able to show we are using the money for the things that we say we're using it for. And so I want to reinforce the importance of the collective responsibility we have for making sure that we have the highest standards of accountability. This past year, the university fared well on the USM audits for fiscal compliance and equipment, in-campus construction, and intercollegiate athletics. And we look to hear where we can be better, but we take pride in working very hard to do the right thing. We also made substantial progress in strengthening our infrastructure for the post-award management of grants. Now, you get all these grants in, and people want to know how you handle them. And quite frankly, there are a lot of compliance issues and internal controls. Are you doing things to make sure nobody can steal the money that is used for the things it's supposed to be used for? And we have been successful in putting our grants and contracts, the management system, into good order this past year, and to build a research infrastructure to form a kind of solid foundation for that growth. And just being very honest, if you think about it, we've been growing a lot. If we're up to $80-some million in grants now, you go back just a decade and a half, we were at 10 or 15 million. So we were growing very fast, and quite frankly, everybody remembers PeopleSoft and in those first years and the challenges we were facing. And so we had many challenges with those grants and documenting what we were doing. We've cleaned up all of those challenges, and we're now, the recent report, quite frankly, on this area, and many of you have been involved in that, focuses on doing two things: improving business processes even before establishing what we're calling these shared services centers. We're working towards those right now, and it is very important. We have no choice but to move to getting away from individual units and to have these interdisciplinary, these centers that will allow you to pull the people together to build the synergy so we can have the research infrastructure to ensure that the money is handled as it should be handled. And boards are looking very carefully. The federal government is looking to see, are people doing it? Because if we want to go to the next level as a growing research university, we have to show that we can handle well the money we're getting right now. And so you'll be hearing a lot about that. One of our great opportunities, given the goodwill that we're getting, given the fact that there is no institution of higher education in the state of Maryland that gets more national visibility for academic quality than UMBC. Give us a hand for that. It's a big deal. It's a big. And in fact, it's resulted in more and more people wanting to give us support. This has been an extraordinary year for UMBC's fundraising efforts. And in fact, we secured $25.6 million in gifts. This is the highest we've ever had. Big deal, big hand for Greg and everybody involved in that. Really nice. Very nice, Greg, for all that you're doing. That makes a big difference. And a big hand for Lynn Schaefer, what she does to superintend the grants and management and all those, and the audit and all that. I really mean that. It's very important. So the fundraising efforts, you might expect, we're using that money to support the people on campus, faculty and staff, to support research, for professorships, but a lot for scholarships for students, for the institutional priorities of the campus. And one example is this new fund that we have, $3 million endowed fund, being used for innovation in teaching and learning. And we can now talk about this competition we're having for faculty across disciplines in the arts, humanities, social sciences, and science and engineering, so that faculty will have the time to rethink redesigning courses, with the goal being to help more students to be even more excited about the work and to see those students doing well. And it has been an amazing success. So our endowment for the first time is the highest it's ever been. It's up as of June to $68 million. Not bad. Give us a hand for that. $68 million. You know, just to put it in perspective, when you talk about $25 million in a year, first 30 years of UMBC's history, we hadn't raised $25 million. You see what I'm saying? It takes a lot of $500 to get $1 million. You get my point? You know, so as a middle-class place, we are doing well. We've benefited tremendously from a number of major donors, and I wanted to give you just one example. George and Betsy Sherman, wonderful people, started working with us in 1996. And George actually was head of a Danaher Corporation. He actually flew some of the engineering faculty down to accompany one of his companies in South Carolina, and got really impressed with what we were doing with faculty and students. He gave us a smaller gift then, and as time has gone on, they've given us more and more. In total, they've given us over $11 million, and primarily for the Sherman Scholars Program. And it came, I want you to hear this, because it's all about what people think. Betsy Sherman, years ago when they were first married, was the only white teacher in an all-minority school in Virginia. And she saw how much potential those kids had, and she saw how the kids loved her, and she saw how there was a need for people of all races to be interested in those children. And she said, I want to do something that involves preparing teachers to work in underserved schools, teachers of all races. And it was from her experience that she worked with George, and we moved and got this last 5 to make it $11 million. So I hope you all will come when we have the formal naming of the Academic Ford building, the George and Betsy Sherman Hall. It's a noble statement about people caring about people they may never see. Give the Shermans a hand, would you please? And that will be held on September 19th in the courtyard at Academic Ford at 3:30. But the efforts involve not just major givers, but also people who are part of the Planned Giving program, and then there's a new Hilltop Society, which acknowledges donors giving $1,000 or more. And we've got the UMBC Giving blog and the Retriever Believer newsletter, all telling stories about donors and the difference they make. We want everybody in here to be involved in fundraising and bringing people to campus, and every donation from $10, $25 to $1,000 can make a big difference. And then the UMBC Magazine is really helping us to bring alumni back. And amazingly, we just got national awards from the Case Circle of Excellence for our magazine. Give Richard Byrne and Jim Lord a hand, designer, for being the directors of that, the editor of that. Please mark October 10th through 12th as a time for homecoming. We have a number of alumni who will be recognized, and you can see this. And everything that I'm saying will be, these are highlights from the text of this State of the University address. There's no way I could go through all of this. You'd be asleep by the time I'd finish, or very excited. But the fact is that I'm giving you just some highlights. You'll be able to read it within the next 24 hours. It'll be on the home page. But the key is we'll be building a lot of partnerships, because the partnerships make all the difference in the world. The next big area involves students, and the great news is that the enrollment continues to go up. Last year we were at 13,600. We had about, last year we had 10,900 undergraduates and about 2,700 grad students. This year, we expect to be very close. I had my final conversation with Michael Dillon. If you know Michael Dillon, he's very conservative in his projections. He's like the auditors and the lawyers. He's not going to tell you but so much. He says he agrees with me. We are approaching for the first time 14,000. It's really amazing. We're going to be up several hundreds, and it'll probably be 13,900 something. And if you know me at all, if it's 13,900 and something, you know I'll be saying it's 14,000. It's about that number, and it's very. If you want to think of it this way, it will be over 11,000 undergrads for the first time for the fall, for sure, and close to 3,000 grads. So if you think about it, it's 11 and 3. Michael's looking at me. I'm trying to be conservative here, all right? You know, and so, but it's a great story. Give everybody involved in the process of bringing in the students, and Yvette and Dale and the financial aid people, Stephanie, give them all a hand for what they do with you, faculty and staff, and that. It's amazing that the Honors College mean SAT is 2107. It's unbelievable. Give the Honors College a hand, and all of them, give them a hand. And then in terms of the academic program, the key has been developing new programs and innovation. And so faculty have developed a major in global studies that will immerse students in the global challenges that we face. And amazingly, we've redesigned a lot of courses there, including freshman composition in the English department. And faculty are using the state-of-the-art facilities in the new Performing Arts and Humanities facility. And there are 2 new departments, and I want to mention them because I think they're wonderful UMBC stories. 2 people who worked to build programs at first that were small and trying to get people to understand the importance of these programs. There had been some great courses in these areas and units, but they were programs, and they've been fighting in the most constructive way for those programs, for the students, for the faculty. And so I am really delighted that we are now finally with a Department of Gender and Women's Studies and a Department of Media and Communication Studies, 2 of our really visionary leaders, Carol McCann and Jason Loviglio. Give them both a hand. Are they here? Stand up a minute. Carol, and then it's Carol and Jason. Yeah, it's really nice. Very nice. Very nice. Very proud of that. And then, you know, I walked in and I saw Mark Zupan. Is Mark still here? It's really a nice story. I mean, talk about innovation. What is really great. Come forward, Mark. It was really, I was going to talk about global engineering with Warren. They had given me information because we are involved now. It's not global. When we think about global stuff, it's important to think across all disciplines. And Mark with Warren and others have been saying this, and it is great that we now have developed this global engineering within the framework of our traditional engineering program. So Mark was in Portugal this year. Mark was teaching UMBC students in Portugal. I want you to think about that. What was really nice was the idea of them having class in Portugal and here at UMBC, and he developed teams of students working across campus, across countries. Think about that, teaching them how to work in teams in engineering between here and Portugal. An amazing story. And what he said that was really interesting was that he could create teams that way, but even just on campus, he could create teams in that class with students from so many different countries. And this is the advantage of UMBC, that everybody can't afford to travel someone for a global experience, but because of the nature of our student body and these very innovative approaches to technology, we can make a big difference. Give Mark a hand for that, would you? And there were all kinds of initiatives in the area, for example, engineering and sustainability, a new track in environmental engineering and sustainability, and courses involving energy sources and involving entrepreneurship, amazing, that have made a big difference, and focusing on team-based learning, and a greater emphasis on writing, which we would all agree with. The College of Natural and Mathematical Sciences continue to make a lot of headway with innovation and course redesign. Bill has been working, he's really excited about this STEM summer experience, which is giving students students a chance to graduate sooner if they want by having more courses in the summer, but also to bring people from other campuses who want to be involved in science at UMBC. So they had a 16% increase in student enrollment this period, very impressive, and they are involved with HHMI. You know, Howard Hughes Medical Institutions. That place is it's amazing. It's the largest foundation of its kind in this country. The only one that's large, I think, the Wellcome Fund in England. But the HHMI is $12 billion in bad times. Gives you a sense. And it's there in Montgomery County. You know, we've had Mike Summers, the only investigator among publics until about a year ago when the medical school got a person. Hopkins has a few. But the key is that Howard Hughes is working more and more with us. Howard Hughes is working with Mike Summers and the Mauer program to replicate Meyerhoff at Chapel Hill. They're doing it up at Penn State. But they are also, there's a new science learning collaboratory. It's called a collaboratory. And it's very interesting that it's life sciences facility of the 21st century. If you've not seen it, the first thing you notice is all these colorful cords. And they've used the new neuroscience research that shows the more colorful the surroundings, the more creative we are. And it looks like a kindergarten in some ways. I mean, pink and orange. It's fascinating. But faculty from other campuses can use it during the summer. We have it during the year, and it's over in the science building. And talk to Bill to build a course about that. Or the other programs we have, for example, with biology, focused on fascinating work with other campuses, including College Park and with Purdue and Miami in developing a program for pre-med that is focused on curriculum development, professional development, and many other programs that the provost has been engaged in, including the work with CASEL of the Center for Active Learning, and including working with community colleges, Sophia, to make sure we do what we need to have the kind of collaboration using Gates funds. So the idea of partnerships in all those areas would be very, and finally the entrepreneurship effort. You know, we still are the only Kauffman campus in this state. Kauffman is the foundation for entrepreneurship, and we have now infused 70 courses with entrepreneurial emphasis across disciplines, and we can now document over the last few years that 10,000 students have enrolled in those courses. One interesting story is that last fall a student company was formed as a result of the first-year seminar in creativity, innovation, and invention. Vivian Alma does a great job in working with us with that entrepreneurship minor. And what's amazing is the students recently, they developed a company in recent time, in the last year, and the name of the company is Banana Bones. And the company was just sold to a local company, and they are donating a part of the money they got to UMBC. Give them a big hand for that. We encourage students to be involved in research. All of you know, and Diane leads that undergrad research effort, which is wonderful. And we've had the research day for undergrads. We have a great experience with the grad student hosting the annual graduate research conference every year, where the grad alumni serve as judges along with faculty, and it makes a big difference. I am really delighted that as we think about giving students professional experiences in jobs and in service, that we have now connected both the Shriver, a part of the Shriver Center involving internships, and the Career Center to give employers a one-stop shop place where you go to look for people, but also to give students more coherence in that work. But I want to take a minute and congratulate both John Martello and Michelle Wolf for doing a superb job, continuing to do a superb job with the Shriver Center. Would you give both of them a hand, please? And I want to congratulate Christine Ruzan for her new appointment as director of the Career Services Center and her very dedicated team. Give them a hand also. Breaking Ground continues to do a great work and to infuse civic engagement across courses from the technical side to the social sciences side, and amazing interviews involving everything from the economy to disruptive technologies to working with people with handicaps. And so we are becoming known, and we are literally being invited to national conferences to talk about the work that we do. And amazingly, people listen to our students and think of them sometimes as if they were faculty. I am excited about the work with the grad school. New reports show we've got to do more to help grad students get jobs when they graduate, and we're already on that. Janet Rutledge and Renetta Toll are doing a great job with Promise and with efforts to have grad students. Dora and others are working to see how we work with faculty and programs to connect what they're doing here to what they will be doing, the possibilities for careers in the future. You're going to hear us talking more more and more about jobs. I was very impressed with the new grant we've gotten from TIAA-CREF to a group of staff members and students through the Council of, interestingly, working with the Council of Grad Schools on this notion of financial literacy. And you'll be seeing more about that very soon with a website that's going to help us all, because we assume people know how to deal with finances, but there are some issues and ways in which we can be very helpful. And finally, we are hoping to hear very soon from NSF about another big promise grant, so keep your fingers crossed. It looks very, very good, and I'm very pleased about that. I want you to think for a moment about this notion of student achievement. When you read the report, you will see so many ways in which our students are involved. We've got another 2 students going to the Nobel Laureates meeting this year, having competed successfully. You've got amazing students going on for Fulbrights and for grad schools, over 40-some% to grad schools and professional schools around the country and in other countries. We've got seniors getting the most prestigious of awards this past year. I was really delighted with Chloe Fleischer, who got his master's from us and undergrad, who works at Lockheed Martin, and he won the Big Brain Theory competition called For the Nation, the Next Great American Innovator. Give him a big hand for that. And all types of competition you will see. You'll see all about where our PhD students are going in terms of postdocs and going to faculty positions around the country. And you'll see a lot of competitions involving that great chess team again. Give them a hand. They won the first place in that. And the Ethics Bowl won 2nd place in the Mid-Atlantic Regional Tournament. And I want to talk a minute about athletics, because I'm so pleased. And Tim Hall came because he was so impressed with some of the commitments of our folks. UMBC matched its best ever finish by placing 3rd in the race for the cup, for the big cup. Boston U often gets it, and we're up to number 3 now out of those, and we'll be moving on with that. But I'm really pleased with men's soccer, who again captured the American East title. Give them a big hand, Pete Karenji and his group. And Lim Paddock, who's now in grad school here, but he was named 2013 American East Conference Male Scholar Athlete of the Year and is here still, and we're very proud of him. And then one of our swimmers who helped us win the men's swimming. Chad, give Chad and the swimming team a hand for what they did. Muhammad Hussein, who was the first male swimmer we've had to make it to the cut for the NCAA Men's Swimming Championship, also defeated his own national record in Egypt. Give him a big hand for that, would you? And then faculty and staff achievements, just a few. Ray Hoff, who's getting ready to retire, got this wonderful award, NASA Distinguished Public Service Medal. And we've had 3 people just recently to get the Microsoft Engineering Innovation Award from Amy Hurst and Sean Kane and Nilanjan Banerjee. It's amazing to see the national awards people are getting. Linda Dustman was named the lipids professor, and you've got Mike Summers, who gave the very prestigious Keynote Symposium, and Tyson Key Meadows had got this wonderful selection as the American Political Science Association a fellow for this year, a congressional fellow, and others like Philip Faribault and Cynthia Wagner, who were selected as National Academy's Education Fellows. And interestingly enough, 2 of our folks are serving on the highest of academies, national academies, expert teams. One is Anthony Johnson, one is Claire Welty. So our faculty are getting all of these awards, and you've seen the list of faculty awardees from Jim Grubb and Suzanne Rosenberg and Tulay Adderley and amazingly Nagaraj Necharal, all getting these awards from the Board of Regents. And then, of course, at the next level, interestingly enough, to see that we recognize Manil Suri, not only because he's a novelist, but as the presidential teaching professor, and Konstantin Vaporis as the presidential research professor. All of these are indications of just how good our faculty are. And interestingly enough, when looking at our staff, you see the same thing. Arlene Wergen got one of those board awards, and Janet McGruger. It's really impressive. And Tim Lynch, and Peggy Major, and Lee Hawthorne Calizzo, excuse me, and Katie Morris. Would you give them all a hand, faculty and staff? You heard Britt Curran. Some of you were here when Britt Curran spoke recently, you know, we are a tenth of the system, so you expect us to get 10% of the awards for faculty and staff. He counted up in recent years, we have gotten 25% of all the awards in the system. Big hand for faculty and staff and what they do. And then in research, the most important point is that we are again above $80 million, having increases with major awards and major grants in a number of areas involving both money from places, every place from the National Institutes of Health for the Center for Aging that could get, I mean, big grants, like $7 million on aging, to the $15 million from the Maryland Department of Health and Mental Hygiene for CHIPTM, for the Hilltop Institute, to a lot of work with JSAT, with the Joint Center in Earth Systems Technology. And it takes a lot to get to $80 million if you think about it. But we don't measure research simply in money. We also look at what impact the research has. And there are two examples that I really wanted to mention. One involves work in the social sciences. A month ahead of last November's election, Professor Gendling, Tim gave and Marvin Mandel in public policy, Gendling in economics and public policy, released a report called Private and Government Fiscal Costs and Benefits of the Maryland Dream Act. It was a working paper that was funded by MIPAR, and the key is this, that it talked about the fact that the total net benefits to the economy of supporting these young people in our state was $66 million. And the Post and the Sun and other places all shared the research of the results of that research. And the Maryland Dream Act won voter approval. Give them a hand for the role they played in that. It's just one example of the kind of work that's going on. And I want you to hear me saying, a lot of research collaboration with UMB. We've got a new center in cybersecurity. We're doing more and more with the National Security Agency. And there was one other grant that I wanted to mention that you'll find fascinating. Govind Rao, who's been here, he and I came at about the same time, got a big grant from DARPA for $8 million. It's a contract over 2 years for research and development in supporting, now listen to this, the biologically derived medicines in an on-demand program that will provide battlefield medical supplies for frontline medics responsive to emergency settings. Give him a big hand for that, would you please? And as I move towards closing, the capital projects are going well. I like that Performing Arts and Humanities building. You all like that building? Give that building a hand for what it says. It looks good. Scott and others, it really does. Phase 2 is coming along. The nice thing is the project manager for the first half, oh my goodness, that was really powerful, wasn't it? Project half for the first half was a young black woman from Baltimore City who came to UMBC, got a degree in mechanical engineering. If you could have seen that young woman over, a graduate of Poly and UMBC with her hat on, managing all those men, you'd have gotten goosebumps. It was really powerful. And there's another student over there now who is our graduate, undergrad and master's, who is, Joe is there, managing the second half. It's a nice story when you think about it, that we prepared the engineers who are over there appreciating building that building in Performing Arts and Humanities. That building in total, as you know, is somewhere around $170 million. But the other piece that's really great is that we know we have to do more to support more faculty and places for their offices. We will be investing in the next several years $16 million in renovating the Fine Arts Building for new offices, classrooms, teaching studios, and critical infrastructure issues. And we're planning to make it very nice, and people will see that. But the other key that I want you to think about is there's several other things going on right now. This fall, two major projects serving our residential students will be completed. One is the $3.7 million construction of a new 8,000 square foot community center, if you've not seen it, right across from the library over there. And the other is the almost $25 million renovation of the Hillside and Terrence apartments. It really will transform that area as we continue to look at renovating the West Hill apartments. And it's a part of student life and all the things that are going on to make a big difference. Give Nancy Young and all of her folks a hand for what we do in residential life and student life and all the activities and service. It's very important. And I'm really delighted that Lynn and Nancy and others work with me, with the board, to get much sooner than would have been the case, a new event center that will be going up in, we'll start in the middle of 2015. Trying to get as early as possible. Sometime by the middle of 2015, it'll start coming out of the ground. It's a beautiful facility. We'll have something for folks to look at. It will be able to house 5,000. It'll have 5,000 fixed seats, and you can get another 1,000 on the floor, and what it means is we can have a number of activities there for student life and concerts and things of that kind and performances, and I'm hoping everybody will start thinking about finally bringing commencement back to campus. If you think about it, we'll be ready to get the idea is a great one. You know, if you have 2 commencements. You could have 2 commencements, because you could do it in 2 commencements by college, and this is on several years, but keep that thought. And of course, it's going to be the new venue for our basketball court, and I want to congratulate our Keith Thomas, because I know he's going to take us to the NCAA. Give him a hand wherever he is, all right? And it's great that we're in the process of, this is now brought, the governor really has rewarded this campus by bringing in the new $120 million interdisciplinary studies, interdisciplinary science building, which is now for planning money in the next 2 years. We thought it was going to be 6 or 7 years out. It is in this 5-year period, and in a couple of years, we'll start seeing things happen there. It will, again, transform the campus. It will be located where the theater is, the old theater is. Lynn, am I saying that right? Where the old theater is, right there by the swimming pool. And that'll go, and it'll be a major $120 million building. It'll change things dramatically. And finally, in the area of sustainability and environment, what's really significant is that we ranked 18th nationally among universities in federal research funding. In that area, we're doing all kinds of things. Lynn Schaefer has been heading that effort after we signed that President's climate commitment. What's great is, and I want you to hear this, that we have been doing several things that are significant. We have reduced net emissions by 13% since committing to reduce carbon pollution in 2017, and we have accomplished that even with a 15% increase in enrollment. There are all kinds of things that are in here about the things we're doing in sustainability. In the IT area, we've had substantial progress, including the fact that with this security and compliance issue and the UMBC and the USM audit, where IT departments are being really criticized for not having things together in audit, again, OIT had no findings. I want you to give Jack Seuss and his hand and his people, all of his colleagues, a big hand for that. And you'll see a lot of work in here about data analytics and the work that John Fritz is doing in Learn Analytics. It makes a big difference. So in all these areas, what you see is that we're making a lot of progress. I close with this thought. It was 50 years ago that the legislature in 1963 approved the charter for this institution. And from the beginning, it was to be a place that would be heavily connected, closely connected with UMB, for example. It was to be a place for research. It was to be a place for good students. It was also the first place in our state where students of all races could come and study. And so it was, in many ways, an experiment. Every other place had been founded for one group or another, and you didn't have a lot of mixing. Now, most of you don't know it, but 2/3 of Americans in the world today had not been born by 1963. And so the world is so different from then. Watch this. How many of you in here had not been born as of 1963? That is the most depressing thing I've ever heard of in my life, right? No, it's really, really encouraging. You are so young, and you've got your lives ahead of you. It's so amazing. It really is. It's disgusting, but that's okay. The good thing is this, that the people who came here in the early years believed in the American vision that every young person should have the chance for a good education. And for years, across disciplines, across races, across ethnicities, across nations, UMBC has worked to build an environment that focuses on the life of the mind and development of values. And you see here, as a growing research university, a campus that is very special, a campus that's getting more national visibility than ever before, a place where people want to come and work, a place where people care about each other, a place, as we get into the March on Washington, that truly believes that we should judge people by the content of the character more than anything else. Give yourselves a hand. It is a privilege to be at UMBC. Thank you all very much. Great. This song. Really nice. And now, if you will stand, we will have the singing of the alma mater. Hey there. Yes, thank you. Does anybody have a copy of it? Do you see a copy of it? I have one. Thank you. mater. Please don't leave. Excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. Everybody's walking. No, everybody stop. Everybody stop. Excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. One of the things we have to teach our students and ourselves, those of you from old colleges know this. When the alma mater is playing, just as when we have our national anthem, no one is to move out of respect for the institution and ourselves. We all stand with great dignity, and I need you to help me help students know that at all of the events. When the alma mater is playing, it is us. So please, with great respect, I ask you, remain and sing if you will. Thank you. Just try it again, okay?